And how's it going, guys? This is a kid from Pilsen here. Welcome to the channel. My homie won right here because of checkmate. I won here because of time, and so the score right now between me and my opponent is 1-1. I'm making sure that I make the right moves and that he wastes his time, and there it is right there. And so right now, what you're about to see is going to be the third and final game that me and my opponent played, a tie-breaking game right here. He starts my clock. I move to d4. He responds with e5, e3, bishop to b4 check. I move my pawn to c3. He moves his bishop back to a5. I take that pawn right there. So he decides with c6, I move my knight to f3, he d5, and I en passant on d6, and he moves his knight to f6. And so I think for a second here, making sure that I'm not in a vulnerable position, I move my bishop to c4. He decides to castle. I move closer in with my knight to g5. The computer says it's a mistake. I didn't think much of it because I wanted to attack this pawn right here, but my opponent makes a fatal mistake. King to h8, and now I take that pawn without hesitation, forking the king and queen. He takes my knight, I take his knight, and so now we're left in this position right over here. He moves his knight to g4. The evaluation bar is completely in my favor right now. This bishop right over here is protecting this. I cannot take with my queen because the bishop can take, as you can see right there. So right now I'm thinking I decide to ultimately castle. Felipe there is giving a lesson in the background right there. I'm not sure if you can hear that. My opponent is taking his time. It's very important to take your time in the game of chess because you want to make sure you make the right moves and not make a mistake that your opponent can take advantage of that mistake. He's touching the bishop there, he's touching his bishop right there. Ultimately, he moves the queen to f8. I take my time instantly, moving my queen to f3, defending that bishop. But that's a mistake because that pawn is now free. He's now threatening mate in one. I didn't see it because I wanted to attack the queen with rook to d1, which is a huge blunder because that's just a free pawn if my opponent finds it. And I'm very lucky enough because he didn't find it. Queen to h6, I instantly moved to h3, neutralizing that threat. He's touching the bishop on a5. He's very hesitant, but now he sees that the knight is under attack, so he moves that knight to e5, forking the queen and bishop. I'm seeing that fork. I understand what's happening. And then I see that I can offer a trade of queens on h5. But before that, I also formulate some other moves. I can either move closer right over here, maybe, still protecting that bishop. And ultimately, I still make that move. Queen to h5. Felipe is talking to me about a tournament that he's hosting at Rio Lozano. And I'm still looking over at the board because I don't want to make a mistake. I want to make sure that any move that my opponent makes, I am prepared for it. He's about to make his move right now. With his right hand, he touches the queen and moves it to d6, which is an inaccuracy because I could just take that queen with my rook to d6. Knight takes the bishop. Queen is going to take that knight, and now we're left in this position right here. It is now totally up in my favor with mate in 4 on the board. He's touching the knight, going for the bishop. Doesn't make that move. Touches his white colored square bishop. Goes to his knight again, moves it to d7. I take my time, I think. There's mate in 2 on the board, but I didn't see it. Queen could have gone here, then knight blocks, and that could have been mate in 1. But folks, I did not see that move at all. Instead, I attack the bishop on a5 with my pawn to b4. He moves the bishop to c7, attacking my rook. And ultimately, mate in 2 is still on the board. I decided to just take that rook. Bishop takes my rook. And now, queen takes the bishop on d7. And now we're left with this position right there. Mate in 2 is gone, completely gone. I don't know what was going through my head at that time. The bishop is now under attack by my queen. He moves the bishop to e5. I decided to move my bishop here to a3. Now I'm thinking there, I'm up by a full minute. He moves his pawn to b6. I decided to move to b7, threatening the rook. He moves his rook to e8. And now I take that pawn to c6, threatening that rook right over here. And threatening mate in 1. And I'm hoping that the opponent does not see that. And he didn't. He moves his bishop to f6, which is a mistake. I instantly take that rook, and it's mate on the board.